bumps, right? And it's happening more and more with especially MotoGP because F1 cars are so damn fast,
Yep.
and they create little ripples in the track that you don't see, but the bikes pick up. So obviously, most sport you get a lot of chatter and you have a lot of that because everything is over a hill. Every corner is over a hill,
Hmm.
so the bike's unweighted, and so it's very difficult to carry speed there, which is what you need to do. So turn one is a difficult corner because it's downhill, hard braking downhill with a lot of bumps, and then there's pavement seams.
Hmm.
So you have about realistically the fastest line through there is about a foot wide between
Hmm.
seams.
Hmm.
So you got to hit your point really. Where a car is a little more forgiving there, right? You can run over those.
Now, are
Um,
you typically looking for visual cues, or you just kind of got a feel for?
for get a good question
Yeah.
there. For turn one, I always make sure they got the pylons out and
Hmm.
in good spots. Or I always
And that the
bug.
pylons are at the right
Yeah,
spot.
well, I always bug Andre.
Yeah.
Got my pylons out. So for me, a lot of corners I can just look at.
Yeah.
But for turn one at Mosport, pylons are very key.
Well,
Turn two,
it's a blind, long, sweeping
that's it,
corner.
right?
Yeah.
So turn two though is a visual and a
Hmm.
feel thing for me. It's all that's natural. And turn two is probably my strongest corner in all of racing. I pass more guys in two than any other track. Um, you
Now,
know,
you would have experienced two through the variations over the years.
oh
It's
yeah.
not as crazy as it was back in the day.
Well, yeah. I mean, I had the lap record in 1999, which was the last of the old track,
Mm.
right? And it was narrow, especially turn four.
Well, it's
Very
under the
narrow.
bridge
Yeah,
going
under the
down. Yeah.
bridge. Yeah. So yeah, turn two's Sterling Moss says it's probably the best corner in racing, right? It's a
Mm.
very unique corner because you got to pitch it in, especially on a bike. You got to lay it down on your knee before the corner. You're actually on your knee on the straightaway.
Really?
Yeah,
You were prepping that much?
before
Wow.
it. And so you're turning it in to fly over that hill unweighted, and then when it weights up again, now you can start focusing on looking down the corner and try to accelerate all the way through to three.
Yeah, because prior to that point, there'd be no point. The bike's not settled at that point.
Believe it or not,
Yeah.
Mosport is such a strange track. The bike spends almost zero times of the lap at straight up and down.
Really?
So
Wow.
even
Yeah.
all the straightaways there, it's such a swooping track,
Yeah.
and it's very hard with traction control there because traction control works off lean
Wait,
angle.
wait. You guys have traction control
Yeah,
on? I see. I don't know these things.
yeah, we
I'm
have
shocked by that.
traction control. We have, and it all works off a lean angle. We can
Wow.
control our power, all that stuff, right?
Wow. Wow. Okay.
Wheelie control, all that,
Yeah. Okay.
engine braking, and so
So you're coming out of two.
you're coming out of two, the bike's leaned over, and then you swoop to three. And then you're leaned over the other way,
Yeah.
and it's a heavy braking three because it's uphill. And same thing, there's a very small window there for line because of the pavement, and then basically pin it out of there and really want to let it go wide
Yeah.
and
Well,
get
there's
it
so much track
track
out
there, yeah.
at four. Yeah.
So you want to get it up on the meat of the tire, A, to save the tire and not eat up all your side grip, and B, not let the traction control pull too much out because it works by lean angle.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to really run it out as far as you can there in the meat of the power. And then you want to get over to the right a bit at the same time. So now you can swoop into four. And the way into four is very similar to two. You pitch it, you're on your knee before the corner. And that you end up. So it's all by chance. You're pitching it, hoping to end up over a hill at 180 kilometers an hour at the right spot. Yeah, it's very bikes, like I said, they're different. Like a car, you would set up a little differently, where the bike, you have to throw it onto its side before the corner.
Now, in the case of four, for my own sakes, are you braking going into four, or are you carrying that speed?
You're trail braking a bit, and that's
Okay.
aided to set the bike up.
Okay.
Right.
Not necessarily.
You're braking it pretty hard, but not that hard.
Yeah. Now, going into 5A, 5B.
5A, 5B is very heavy braking, and it's up a wall there, so that's where you bottom the forks out.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I've used that wall, that lip at the bottom to slow the car down.
Yeah.
It's amazing how much that'll slow the car down.
Yeah, it's a wall.
Yeah.
If you ever ride a bicycle around that track, you'll realize how steep that
Yeah,
corner is.
but when you do a track walk, you
Yeah.
really appreciate. Okay,
Yeah.
please continue.
So 5A and B, you got it. The pavement's so polished in there from the cars. Traction's very limited, and it's rough and crappy, as you know, out in the outside. So you can't take quite a wide a line as you would like to on a
Hmm.
motorcycle there. So you just got to be a little careful in there.
Now
And
you hinted that that corner is more forgiving on a bike in terms of the impact on the back straight. Is
on the
that?
yeah, obviously, if you do the corner right and get a good drive,
Yeah.
so a lot of times I'll get passed between 5A and 5B, and it's just an act of desperation
Yeah.
by the other rider.
That still blows my mind that you'd be passing it between 5A and 5B.
Yeah, it's more of a desperation thing because for me, I slow down a little bit in
Mm.
between the two, and so I can get a better drive up the
Yeah.
back straightaway. Because if you try to carry too much, then you don't get a good drive.
Yeah.
So it's all about getting out of and the curb's very high in B, so it's tough to carry leaned over. So you got to have the bike almost a little more straight up and down. So I try to really square that off at the apex a little more to get a better drive
Well,
up
that's
that
the other
back
thing too. I
straightaway.
just realized the curb would impact the bike considerably more than it would a car too.
Yeah,
And so anytime you do a bad curbing on any of those things, you're probably paying the
yeah,
price.
because you're leaning over, you're hanging so
Yeah.
far over. And like if you think about it, my shoulder, my elbow, my knee are 3 feet away from where the tire
That
is.
is, it just blows my mind. Sorry, crazy man. Please continue. So coming out of one of the most iconic back straights, that's not a back
Yeah,
straight.
yeah, it's a curve,
Yeah.
and so the second last hump before you get to
Yep.
8, that's where you grab sixth gear on the bike, and usually I use sixth gear to bring the wheelie down because fifth gear it wheelies over the hump, so I would bang.
You're actually wheeling over the hump.
You have to roll out of it there.
Wow.
Yeah, so the sixth gear right there, you use the shift to keep the front end down.
Oh, okay.
And then basically coming into 8, as kind as you go over the hump, and it used to be a lot bigger, as
Yep.
you remember. You go over the hump, and as the bike settles, is when you start braking for 8, and get your downshifts in for
And
8.
and 8 months, because that's a nice long sweeping. That must be thrilling in a bike.
Yeah, it is. It's very hard all weekend long as you build up toward the race to get in there deeper and deeper and deeper. That's probably the corner that takes the most all week to get in properly.
Now you're saying getting into 8, not getting into 9. You're talking
like carrying, braking later and carrying speed in there. That's one of the corners I think that really you even until the race you're not even at your max there.
Yeah, well, it is. Yeah, you're benefiting from being able to leverage that back straight for so much longer, relatively speaking.
Yeah.
When we're talking microseconds, those things do matter. But yeah, it's so going into 9.
So turn 9 is obviously a big passing area in the race, and coming out of there to 10. So
is there a lot of contact in 9, considering it's
yeah. 9's a high contact area.
Yeah.
10 is too, because you can try to stand somebody up there and get to the line. And obviously the pavement in those corners too is a little rougher and patched up. Most slow corners they get beat up, right?
Yeah.
So that's you need to get your bike working.
Well, especially with
there.
10, there's been a lot of semis driving in that area.
Yeah,
over that area
exactly.
for years.
And
When I think of the fact that you do that in the rain as well, obviously there'd be racing lines very similar in that sense.
yeah, I mean, obviously, again, the track, you have to have knowledge, and obviously, because there's going to be areas of the track that are slipperier than others.
There's rain at 5 and sunlight at 2.
Well, and just the way the pavement is, right?
Yeah.
And what's flowing across the track, because the sand comes off the hills and gets carried across the track. So that's what makes Mosport so tricky in the rain is you have little rivers.
Mm-hmm. Wow. See, and like I said, it's all those things. It's bad enough that you're capable of even attempting that. And this is the compliment, to then also be a champion of that on a regular basis. I am thrilled to have been able to have this conversation with you.
I have a quick Mosport story.
Yeah, go for it.
So I can't remember what year it was, 06, 07, 07 or 08. It was raining at Mosport, which is normal.
Mm-hmm.
But it was cold.
It is the Mosport triangle.
Yeah, but it was cold. It was really cold. So there was a red flag in the 600 race. And and then there was a restart, and then I crashed in the lead and caused a red flag.
So this is the second red flag.
Yeah, but there was also another crash on the same lap that caused a red flag. So they let me start at the back of the grid. And
Because that crash didn't count as a result.
exactly. And this is the second red flag of the race, a 600 race. And I made it up to third. And there was another red flag. So now I got to start from third, and I won the race. And I was in my leathers, and I was borderline hypothermia at the end. I was in the trailer. My trainer was with me. He's traveled with me a lot, and they had me wrapped in blankets, and they were giving me coffee to drink, and I was shaking, and they had me like wrapped in blankets. I was so pale. I was so cold because I was in my leathers, soaking wet for like I think the race took 3 hours.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable.
And as you say, you get cool breezes.
But it was a cold day. Normally when you have rain at Mosport, it's hot,
Yeah.
and right, but it was a cold one.
No, I love the fact that particular location just throws everything at you. It's, from weather to diversity from one part of the track to the other. And like I said, it holds a special place in my heart, but that's one of many tracks in the world. But like I said, Laguna Seca, the concept of taking the corkscrew on two wheels is just spellbinding to me.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Yeah, well, it's a spectacular corner too. It's in any case, the charity, of course, is the Cancer Foundation, Princess Margaret. So if you've enjoyed this conversation, do donate. Thank you again, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.